And O'Day Jordan already blasting his way around the bend. Pearson putting up a good challenge on the outside, but there's no doubt about it. What a display of sprinting from the young Briton. This is absolutely phenomenal. And he's just easing up. What's happened here? What has gone on there?
This video is actually one of the best illustrations of what happens with execution drift in organizations. I think from the outside, if you think about that, he still completed the race. What he did was he started extremely strong, and then it just faltered out.
Almost as if he had missed out on remaining focused. So he started off very focused, wanting to get to the end line as quickly as he could, and then something changed.
Yes, and in organizations when that happens, I think it's really difficult to see when the change happens, because from the outside, it just keeps going. The work keeps moving, the calendar stays full, people are still doing what they're supposed to do, but there's that loss of energy that is very difficult to pick up. So as I said, from the outside, everything looks normal, people are doing what they should do, but from the inside.
Yeah, I think that what we're talking about is quite often lack of awareness by the individual themselves.
Yeah.
But also lack of awareness by the management or person running the project as to the actual dynamic that's going on in that project.
Yes.
Quite often it is because something extra has been added to that person, possibly.
Yeah.
So that extra that gets added changes the focus of the person, changes the way that they see the project, changes the way they see the outcome of it. So they're still progressing forward, but now they have multiple things to focus on.
So instead of having that clear focus that they start with and high energy that they start with, it becomes a more unclear, unfocused situation where they don't know what to do.
And without actually monitoring the situation properly, very often that just goes up by the way. So people are still progressing, but if you don't have proper measures for success at certain periods of times, milestones, etc., and those aren't monitored properly, you never pick it up, because there's always progress. It could mean, though, that the project's going to take longer. It could mean that the outcomes are not going to be as effective.
Yeah. And I think another way that you can also see it is when you start with a project, people are energized, they take part in discussions when they have meetings, people take responsibility for what's happening. And then after a while, when you have the meetings, all of a sudden they become quiet, they don't give their opinions anymore.
I was actually talking to somebody the other day about exactly that, where they will be sitting in meetings, they'll know something's not going quite right, and yet they choose to stay quiet because very often they don't want the attention brought back to them, because they don't want to have their area being questioned anymore.
Yeah, or they don't want the responsibility of that.
Yes.
What's that thing that says if you mention it, you're responsible for that? It might be something like that. But if all of a sudden, instead of having these lively discussions, all of a sudden it becomes quiet, and you might think, it's actually a good thing. But from lively discussions, you have a better chance of getting good results and good decisions and good solutions.
I think that you're saying that people don't want the responsibility is actually quite important, because very often they don't talk up and mention things that aren't going quite right, because they know they're going to be given that work.
Yeah.
And that's extra work.
Yeah.
That's something that will divide the attention from what they think is more important for them.
Exactly. And it also makes me think of that, we had that 1 minute where you said a lot of things land on their table, and then after a while they feel so overwhelmed that they actually just don't want anything more of
Yes,
it.
very much so.
Yeah.
It becomes quite a major problem. So basically what we're saying here is that you've got to be very aware of what's going on in the work in the project, both
Yes.
from an individual who's doing it, but also from the people who are supposed to be managing it.
Yes, I agree with you. And with the management, I think what also happened is that you, obviously, when you have a project, you give the work to the people under you, that they must do. But if you are not clear about what's going on here, and you are now overwhelmed and confused, the message that you send down will also be unclear.
Very, very true, in that very often those changes that are happening in the work, changes that are happening in the project, very often the leader doesn't track those either.
Yeah.
So if, as you say, they don't understand what's changed, how it's changed, and what the potential outcome of those changes are on the people, it's going to have a huge effect on how that work flows. Give somebody an extra responsibility and their priorities change.
Exactly. And the problem is, if there's no clarity about what has to happen, people don't take the responsibility, but the authority leaks then. Because if it's unclear, how can you make a decision with authority? So that leaks, and then in the end, nobody wants to take responsibility. Everybody is uncertain about what's going to happen. So that's and that happens without, it's a quiet thing that drifts through the company.
Okay, the question is then, if you do observe this happening, what should you do?
What do you think?
That's it, pass the buck. See, this is exactly what we're talking about. My responsibility now adds to my responsibility.
Yes.
Let's look at it though. The idea should be that as you see things slow, as you see projects not quite being what they should be, as you detect something's changed, you should actually sit down and take stock.
Yes, pause about and think about it.
Sit down, think about it, and then one of the most important things is to go back and see where the work has changed, where the motivation's changed, where the energy's changed, and ask yourself the question, what has changed? How do we get ourselves back on track? Take stock of what it is.
What happened?
Yes.
What happened to make that change?
And then incorporate it back into the desired outcome.
The problem is, if you do not do that, and I'm going to refer back to the video now, when that guy slowed down, a lot of other people passed him. So if your business is slowing down, your competitors may pass you. And I don't think any one of us would like to do that, would like to have that happen.
It goes back to doing the small things consistently according to your plan. And when you do that, you stay on track.
Yes.
If you let any of those falter, you end up losing ground.
Yeah, losing energy, losing enthusiasm, and you still complete the race, but it's slower than the others.
Okay, to summarize it, how would you summarize it all?
I think one should be on top of what is going on in your organization through the management, and look out for things like energy that's getting lower. Look out for things like polite meetings, because that's usually an indication that something is not right. Look out for uncertainty, people not taking responsibility. Those are the tiny things that gives an indication that something is not right in your organization.
I think that's great. Let's leave it there and we can continue with the next one later.
Yes, thank you.